ho, ho, children. Merry Christmas from us, Deborah Tamai and Jazz Sebastian, right here, right now at the Creative Constitution podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, we're everywhere, baby, and we're ready to talk to you about Christmas. How about that? Did you like that? Is that a good intro?
Not too bad.
All right, let's get into it. 'Tis the season.
That's right. And in between the stresses of shopping and trying to find the perfect present, we thought we'd provide you with a little episode that hopefully will entertain you.
Yes.
So today's episode is really discovering the worst movies of Christmas.
And some of the best, perhaps. Let's not discourage all our young filmmakers out there and all our creative up-and-comers. There's still going to be some interesting stuff in this episode. Definitely some good points on film.
That's right.
And things like that, but also just a bit of fun as well for the holiday season,
100%.
because why not?
Why not? You gotta have some fun sometimes.
Yes.
And we've had so many serious episodes, so I think it's nice to just take a little break from that.
It's time to be a little bit silly. Ho, 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 ho.
That's
well,
right.
let's start with films. That's usually what we talk about here on the Creative Constitution podcast. Christmas films. When you say like the worst Christmas film, what's the first thing that comes? Does anything come to your mind straight away? Like if someone says, what's the worst Christmas film you've ever seen? Does something come into your head?
Oh my God.
It does?
Put me on the spot.
Oh, I thought you were saying, oh my God, I've got
the
one.
worst one.
The worst one.
I feel like, to me, it's the 𝐿f.
Cool.
𝐿f
We're going to get so much hate because 90% of the population love that movie for some reason. I don't know why. It's not funny.
I just find the humor not funny.
No, it's not funny. It's really dumb. But a lot of people love Rick and Morty, man. Good on them.
I'm not a big fan of Rick and Morty.
If you like 𝐿f,
we're going to get cancelled now.
We're probably going to get cancelled by 90% of our viewers. Bugger, we don't like 𝐿f. Bugger. Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the worst.
I think it's just really over the top.
If you guys disagree, that's what it's all about here. We're about debating films and stuff like that. So leave your comments down there. What the hell? You guys are crazy. You don't like 𝐿f? What the hell?
Yeah.
Prove to us that it's good somehow, because we both tried to watch it and jeez.
Yeah, that's right. But when you look at it on the flip side though, it's like, I think a Christmas movie, when you really break it down, it's about making sure that you feel like a kid again. You know, it's really directed at families and young kids to feel the miracle of Christmas and to feel the miracle of believing in something magical.
Okay.
You know, and for me, I actually really like those movies a lot more, which is why I gravitate towards things like The Polar Express and Home Alone. You know, those things are funny. They bring the families together, and
they're
by
funny,
the end,
but they're also heartfelt. They're not just
they're very
stupid.
heartfelt. Yeah, and
They've got heart, and there's a real story there, and there's something that connects us to those characters in those Christmas films.
yeah, and by the end, you feel like a little marshmallow. You feel all gushy inside, and you're like, man, life is good.
So what about The Polar Express? Because I remember you telling me you really like that film.
Yeah, I love that film.
What about The Polar Express connects you and gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling?
Well, I reckon I've seen The Polar Express 20 times at least. And I've been watching it since it came out. I would say regularly. I don't know how many times in the last few years, but for definitely as I got older, less and less, because you sort of you sort of get over the films. But I remember so vividly watching that for the first time and just being so blown away, and it just makes you want to believe in Santa Claus. And I feel like that's the power of a Christmas movie. It's just it really just makes you feel happy inside. For me, The Polar Express is all about taking leaps and going on an adventure, and the fact that the main character, the little boy, is scared of everything and sort of is looking at the world through a completely different lens by the end of the movie. I feel like that's also what really makes me really like that character a lot more. Plus Tom Hanks plays all the characters.
Yeah.
Except for a few.
I mean, I think I only watched that film once, but what I do remember of it was really enchanting. And it was a really lovely journey. And it was one night I was sitting up, I think I was 13 or 14 or something. Parents had gone to bed and I hadn't watched it yet. And I was like, it looks like a kid's movie, but I'll give it a crack. And I was in that funny early teen age. But I would sit up often and watch films by myself after my parents had gone to bed and study the media and study actors. And I wasn't really into the childish CGI, but I started watching this thing back when we had to watch it on normal TV and have ad breaks and everything. But I stuck it out, man. I stuck out those ad breaks.
Yeah.
And I remember being not wanting to stop watching and being able to sit through those ad breaks and keep at it because it was so enchanting, and it wasn't this sort of Disney, Pixar sort of kiddie. It was something different. It was safe to watch for children, definitely. It was like a G-rated thing, right? But there was more to it.
Yeah.
There was heart. There was an enchantment. There was this beautiful journey. It was so held back, but the whole thing was like warm. It almost reminded me of like a Studio Ghibli anime film.
Yeah.
It sort of had vibes like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, a really big difference, I think, as well is like when you watch movies like The Polar Express, it's just you watch these characters have fun in the snow and you have these amazing adventures that they go on. And now that I've been living in Australia for close to 10 years, that sort of magical element sort of fades away a bit because you don't get to experience the beauty of having a Christmas that is snowy. Whereas when I was in Europe, literally on Christmas morning, if you woke up and it was snowing, it literally felt like a movie. And I feel like that is sometimes when I'm watching a Christmas film and you get those little warm, fuzzy feelings, that is really like, it makes me reminisce of those really beautiful times when I was younger and the excitement of waking up to Christmas presents. And, you know, you would go along with the whole narrative of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And it was just beautiful, you know, and the Polar Express, there's that big section in the film, I don't know if you remember, but where they go through all these tubes with the presents. And like, I always just, when you're young, like you still have that magical like innocence.
Yeah.
And you totally watch that and you're like, that must be how it gets delivered.
That could happen to me one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're watching that and you're like 5 or 6, man.
Yeah. And obviously the little kid, the main character is like misbehaving because like he's up at night and that's the only reason he gets to see that the train is there and that's how he gets on board. If like you're a parent and you see your child doing that, you'd be like, hell no. But the movie just makes it so magical. And that's why I think The Polar Express is like my favorite Christmas movie.
Wow.
But
just while it's on my mind as well, to do with the CGI and the sort of kids and the magic of getting those presents delivered and stuff like that, I remember seeing a short recently. Not 100% sure, but I think it was Love, Death and Robots on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was one of those, and it was a Christmas short. And it was like Polar Express style CGI children waiting up for Santa. Santa comes down the chimney. It's this like black, demonic looking creature. God. That's like the stuff of nightmares. It's like this demonic, shadowy entity with big claws and spikes. And it's like drooling and all this stuff. And the kids are just like, the little boy's just like, and the girl's like freaking out. They are freaking out and this thing's getting closer and closer to them. And it's like, and it sniffs them both. And then it's like, good. And then it's like, good. So they've both been good and not bad. And then it goes and it regurgitates these presents out of its mouth.
I remember that now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the coolest Christmas shorts I've ever seen. It's like, whoa, what happens if he said bad? Like, what happens if those kids were bad? Like, I don't want to know,
they get
man.
swallowed and turned into the present.
But then the kids are like happy in the end because it spits out their present and it goes back up the chimney. They're still kind of like traumatized, but they're like, oh,
yeah.
Okay, it's not so bad.
Well, let's talk about some classics. So, Home Alone. I love those movies, but I must say the older I get, the less interested I am in them.
Well, I haven't seen any of them in many, many years, but I remember back in the day when like you were living in that time period, like it was relevant, like it was the 90s and you were watching it in the 90s, man, that was magic. And you were watching it as like a slightly older kid from Home Alone. Like the kid from Home Alone was, how old was he in the first one? Maybe 6 or 7?
Yeah, pretty young.
I want to say. I think I watched that when I was like 8 or 9. So the magic was there, and it was the 90s. So the shops were the same. The way the USA, New York City streets were done up was the same that we were watching in real time. It was magic.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw a meme earlier that was like, what would happen if Home Alone was set in today's world? And they literally the movie would be over in like the first minute because the kid would go, Mom, there's burglars.
Activate Cortana Smart House Google Glass. It turns into like a Black Mirror episode.
No, it was more like the kid could just text the parents, and then the parents would be like, "Oh, coming home, sweetie."
The kid just live streams it on his Apple iPhone. Yeah. He's like 8. And he's like,
yeah, exactly. Well, you were talking about the Tim Allen one before we started the episode.
The Santa Claus. That's one of the best, I reckon. That's a classic, man.
I'm pretty sure when I was younger, I thought he was actually Santa Claus.
Yeah, because you see in the movie, he's a normal guy and then he gets turned into Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So as a kid, you're freaking out. You're thinking the actor, the guy that is playing the dad, is actually turning into a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like
they're great films, though. That definitely perks up the magic. I think that's sort of timeless.
Yeah.
And if you're a young family, with a kid, then you can watch those movies and really enjoy it and really relate.
Yeah.
I think they're good. They're sort of timeless in a sense.
Yeah. Do you like watching Christmas movies, like just in general?
Well, I haven't for a while, as you know, but for the people listening as well, personally, I haven't, just because I'm older now and there is no magic anymore. We don't have kids at the moment, so it's Christmas is just a normal day now. It's sort of thing. It's like maybe hang with a family and have a feast, maybe use it to do something else.
Yeah.
So I think for both of us temporarily, that magic isn't there, but it can always come back. And for a lot of people that are hustlers, that are, creative hustlers, that aren't so into the dates that you have to celebrate certain things, that magic can always come back later in life. Like when you have a kid, or say you're in a big production and you've got a lot of friends or you've got a lot of family members. I think for people with naturally a big, healthy, happy family that have like many uncles and cousins and sisters and all that, people like that are always going to celebrate Christmas and have a nice time.
I think you're right. Like, I think the beauty of Christmas is when you have a united family. And I guess without going into like, personal stuff, I feel like, I think one day when we have children, then you have those, you make hot chocolate and marshmallows and you have a little movie night
and you
with
watch
the family.
Those Christmas movies
and you watch
with
those,
the family.
Exactly, because they are family friendly. And I personally don't know if there are a lot of like really good family movies that come out yearly. Like I personally don't, like the algorithm doesn't recommend them to me, but the Christmas ones I feel like really bring the families together, because that's always a big moral in the story. It's always about family, so at the end of Polar Express, it's about the celebration of family. The kid like finally is grateful for what he has, the family that he has, the house that he lives in, the presents that he has. And a lot of Christmas families are like that too. Home Alone. Yeah,
because he doesn't like the parents and his brothers and sisters. He hates them. He wants to be alone. They're awful to him and he doesn't like them. And then at the end of the day, he realizes...
they all come together.
Yeah,
and I feel like
how lucky he is.
That is, in a way, like the power of the Christmas movies, where like, as much as sometimes I don't like the humor and I find them a little bit forced and I find them not as entertaining as watching a thriller.
The Grinch,
they have great morals, they really push great messages that I think are important, like, to be kind, to be grateful, to enjoy the power of family and unity and all those things. And I think those are harder to do in like a romantic film or something that's not tied to a great holiday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good excuse, really, isn't it, to produce films that have those values and have that sort of formulaic story to bring out, a positive outcome. Yeah, and a unity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good excuse to make a film like that. And there are a lot of Christmas, like, look at America. There's a whole sort of real sort of religious movement thing over there with certain film studios that only make sort of Christian Christmas films, and they love it, and people go wild for it, and there's this massive market for it, and it's all the same film, copy paste, horse wrangler guy meets the girl of his dreams, good Christian girl, goes to church with her family, but he has trouble with something, and then but it's nice, Well, it's
the Christmas season is just a perfect setting for romantic films. There was that really good one. I think it's called Love. No, it's called New Year's Eve. Oh, I forget.
Love Actually is a classic.
Love Actually.
Most people know.
Is that the one with Zac Efron?
I think God no.
There was one with Zac Efron over the Christmas period. There was happens during winter and stuff. Yeah. And it's beautiful, even day to day, how nice is it when you go to a house that's got all of the Christmas lights and it's just beautiful? You sort of feel like you're in a movie in that sense. And if you are, one of the lucky people that has a nice family or a partner to celebrate those things with, then those are really, really beautiful. With the mistletoe and all of those things. We're not very traditional, but in the U.S., you have a whole tradition that people follow, and I think that's beautiful. I'd love to do that when I get older and we have our own house. Have a traditional old Christmas and have the sort Christmas of celebration
tree. Just for fun with the
our
snow.
Our house is a little too messy for a Christmas
fireplace.
Tree, but and just have a snowy Christmas. I think whenever I think of Christmas movies, I literally think of fireplace, hot chocolate, beautiful Christmas tree, mistletoe, family comes together and they're all having dinner and having a great time. And the kids are all excited. They open their presents and I feel like that's the magic of Christmas. It's not the shopping. It's not the stuff. It's really just seeing your family happy.
Yeah.
And that's what Christmas movies do really well.
That's an interesting take. And you've just brought into my head now the thing about what we're blasted with this Christmas stuff on the film front is that. But how often do we see Christmases celebrated in other countries that aren't those traditional snowy Christmases via film? Right? That's just come into my head because I can't think of a single one. I want to see an Arabic Christmas.
Well,
I know everyone
they don't celebrate that.
Yeah, but they, not necessarily, because every country and every culture still, not everyone does the same religion. A bunch of people believe in a bunch of different stuff and they choose a different religion. Pick one. I'll pick this one. There's still a bunch of Christians that live in all the countries of the world. But why do we never see films with a Egyptian Christmas around a pyramid or so? That's weird.
Yeah.
It's just there's a dominant narrative there it seems to be very Western. But at the same time, there obviously are families in other countries of the world that celebrate it. But we never get a film showing that to us, which is an interesting thought.
Yeah, that is
Maybe that could be a cool thing to do, a Chinese Christmas.
Yeah.
Or something.
Honestly, I've never even thought about that. You only ever really see
but why not?
Western families
because
celebrating.
there are families that follow those traditions in all different countries.
That's right. Even Muslim countries have Christians and people that 100%. Celebrate those
and
things.
We never get to see a film or could be a good idea.
With films...
Could be an interesting idea.
With films, it's always what does the market want? And it's just sometimes it's driven by those trends and things. And I feel a
dominant narrative
Christmas
that
movies,
sells product, that sells a look, that sells a thing of Christmas. Yeah.
And Christmas movies are very copy-paste. I feel like they are quite similar. I think we were... we were on Stan or Tubi or something, and it was just we found this category that was all the Christmas romance movies.
What I was saying
remember?
Before,
and it was 200 of them. It didn't stop. They were all
And the poster was the same for everyone. It was a guy and a girl look like people, cowboys or whatever.
And they're all just they
with
have
a shed in the background and a church in the background.
Yeah.
And it's the same movie.
And they have the kiss under the snow. I love that stuff. It is very cute. But anyways, we didn't want this episode to be very long.
Well, hang on. Let's say 100% worst Christmas movie, Elf.
I think Elf.
Best favorite Christmas movie?
Polar Express.
Polar Express. Mine, I'm going to change it up. It's not a movie. It's not a movie. My favorite Christmas media to consume, for many years it was, I haven't watched it in a little while, but I still got the DVD, is the Futurama Christmas episode.
Ooh.
Where there's an evil robot Santa and he flies around in a sleigh. That thing, I remember watching it for like 4 or 5 years in a row back when I was going through high school. And every year I would watch this Futurama Christmas episode. For some reason, it was only like 25 minutes long, but it brought the magic, baby. It was so cool, and it would get me amped for Christmas Day. I would watch it on Christmas Eve. The episode took place on Christmas Eve, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it. So there you go.
Is there an Australian Christmas classic? You know, where they go to the beach or something?
Probably where they sit out on the veranda in the hot and get bloody flies all over them, mate, and have bloody 4X beers
That's
in
the
the
thing.
heat.
You know, I was looking at the data and I saw that most of our listeners are in the US actually. So
Fantastic.
They wouldn't have an idea of what an Australian Christmas looks like. So why don't we explain a classic Christmas in Australia, just for those American listeners out there?
100%. It's either rainy and really humid and crap, and you sit indoors and have some ham and some prawns with the family and put on funny little hats and crack your crackers.
Yeah.
Or it's stinking hot,
Yeah.
and you've got all like 5 fans on in one room. You're all in singlets, thongs, and board shorts, sitting around a pool having like cold beers, going, "Jesus, mate, when can this be over?"
Jeez.
There isn't a lot of magic to it.
Sounds like a great setting for a movie, huh? A Christmas movie.
It would have to be a dark comedy.
The Hot Express.
Yeah. There's no magic to Christmas in Australia.
But honestly, the magic of Christmas, I mean, we all hope, from the Creative Constitution to all of you, we hope that you have an amazing Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we hope you have a great time. Go and watch your favorite Christmas movies and appreciate all the beautiful lessons of unity and love and family and stuff, or whatever you're into.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Jazz has a special announcement as well.
Oh, true. I do. Yeah, I have a cool song coming out on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, the next song off my album, New Visions of 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒. It's called Speedy Ways, and it's coming out on Christmas Eve as my gift to you. So go and check it out. It's on Spotify. Going to have a lyric video up on YouTube. Speedy Ways, Jazz Sebastian. December the 24th, baby.
This is coming out December 24th.
Yeah, so everything's going to be out on December the 24th. It's an exciting date. There's a lot of gifts we're giving you guys before Christmas.
That's right. Jazz has been working very hard on his latest album, New Visions of 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒, and
so has
been really putting in a lot of effort. So we would love it if you would check out the song afterwards. If you like
pop rock, bands like Coldplay, Muse, that sort of stuff, you'll probably like this song.
Yeah, that's right. So check it out, and we hope you have a great Christmas and enjoy it with the family. And we hope that you'll enjoy the Creative Constitution in a new year as well.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, guys. See you
in the next one.